Just trying to figure out.
Okay.
Yes, we can see you now.
Okay. Or can you hear Rajnath as well? And see Rajnath?
Sir, we are able to hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you see Rajnath?
Trying to figure out. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay.
So, can you hear us?
Can you hear Rajnath as well?
Yeah, we're just
And see
checking the
Rajnath?
system for a second. We can see we are able to hear Rajnath, sir. Can you hear us, Mathur, sir?
Can you see Rajnath?
And trying to figure out. Yes, I can.
Okay.
I think we can see.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, can you hear us?
Can you hear Rajnath as well?
Yeah, we're just
And see
checking the
Rajnath?
system for a second. We can see we are able to hear Rajnath, sir. Can you hear us, Mathur, sir?
Can you see Rajnath?
And trying to figure out. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ISA ADP.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear Rajnath as well?
So we're just
And see
checking the
Rajnath?
system for a second. We can see we are able to hear Rajnath, sir. Can you hear us, Mathur, sir?
Can you see Rajnath?
And trying to figure out. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
welcome to
Okay.
the ISA ADP.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear
We can
Rajnath as
hear,
well?
but could you put
And see Rajnath?
on mute for a second? somebody's? We can see we are able to hear Rajnath, sir. Can you hear us, Mathur, sir?
Can you see Rajnath?
And trying to figure out. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, and for the time
Okay.
constraint, we'll start the
Okay.
session now. ADP. Good
Can you
morning,
hear
ladies
us?
and gentlemen. We can hear, but could you put
There seems to be a loop.
seconds? We can see we are able to hear Rajnath, sir. Can you hear us, Mathur, sir?
Can you see Rajnath?
And trying to figure out.
It is in the loop, in fact.
Okay. There seems to be a loop.
Yes, we'll start.
Can you hear us?
But could you put
There seems to be a loop.
seconds? We can see we are able to hear Rajnath, sir. Can you hear us, Mathur, sir?
Can you see Rajnath?
And trying to figure out.
It is in the loop, in fact.
Okay. There seems to be a loop.
Yes, we'll start.
Can you hear us?
But could you
There seems to be a loop.
seconds? We can see we are able to hear Rajnath, sir. Can you hear us, Mathur, sir?
Can you see Rajnath?
And trying to figure out.
It is in the loop, in fact.
Rajinder, can you switch off and switch on?
Can you hear us?
But could you
Seems to be a loop.
seconds? We can see we are able to hear Rajnath, sir. Can you hear us, Mathur, sir?
Can you see Rajnath?
And trying to figure out.
It is in the loop, in fact.
Rajinder, can you switch off and switch on?
Can you hear us?
But could you
Seems to be a loop.
seconds? We can see we are able to hear. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ISA ADP session on green hydrogen, hosted under the India Energy Week events. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our DG, Good morning, Dr. ladies and Mathur, gentlemen, who will be giving the welcome inaugural to the address. Over to you, sir. ISA ADP session on green hydrogen, hosted under the India Energy Week events. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our DG, Good morning, Dr. ladies and Mathur, gentlemen, who will be giving the welcome inaugural to the address. Over to you, sir. ISA ADP session on green hydrogen, hosted. Dr. Mathur, sir, you can go ahead now.
Thank you. A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, greetings from the International Solar Alliance and a very warm welcome to this session on green hydrogen, which is jointly hosted by the International Solar Alliance and the Asian Development Bank. We are very grateful to the Asian Development Bank for the technical assistance that has made this work possible. As you know, the ISA is an intergovernmental organization with a mandate to support the increased deployment of solar energy across its 114 signatory countries. Last night, New Zealand joined us as our 114th signatory, and this is one of the reasons why I'm joining you online today rather than being with you in person. We have provided and continue to provide support to our member countries on analytics and advocacy, on capacity building, and on project and program implementation support. We see green hydrogen as a key enabler of achieving our global climate targets and realizing net zero greenhouse gas emissions. And the important thing that the ISA supports is that the hydrogen is produced from renewable sources of energy, including solar energy. A recent report by System IQ and the University of Exeter examined various tipping points required to accelerate global net zero emissions. And green hydrogen is a key. Its utilization is a key in various sectors such as fertilizer and cement. Also last year, the G7 members launched the Hydrogen Action Plan, or HAP. The HAP's objectives include strengthening joint action on hydrogen and its derivatives. One of the agreed items of the HAP is the acceleration of development of low carbon and renewable energy sourced hydrogen with an emphasis on the hard to abate sectors, the steel and the fertilizers that I spoke to you about. India launched its green hydrogen mission recently, and this aims to provide a comprehensive action plan for enabling a green hydrogen economy. I'm delighted that Mr. Rajnath Ram from the NITI Aayog is with us online and will provide an overview of the Indian approach. We are particularly delighted by the cost reductions that have occurred as an increase of production of scale, both on the PV side, so the prices of solar are declining, as well as on the hydrogen side, where with cheaper solar electricity, we are able to have electrolyzers now built in larger and larger numbers and of larger and larger size so that the price is declining. This is leading to a virtual cycle of development and deployment, which leads to greater adoption, which leads to greater cost reductions and so on. At the International Solar Alliance, we launched the Green Hydrogen Program at our 4th Assembly in October 2021. We focus on enabling solar-based hydrogen production, utilization, and trade amongst the ISA member countries. Our goal is to assess the solar hydrogen readiness in our member countries and facilitate the increased readiness through the identification of country-relevant projects that can be financed by partner organizations. And this is one of the main reasons why we are delighted that the Asian Development Bank is here with us, and we look forward that in the other regions, we develop similar relationships with the other regional development banks. Recently, at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, we launched 2 reports on green hydrogen. First, jointly prepared with the Asian Development Bank, refers to a proposed framework for green hydrogen readiness assessment of our member countries. The second focused on Africa and found enormous green hydrogen potential in 4 African hubs: Mauritania, Morocco, Southern Africa, South Africa, and Namibia, and Egypt. We are now partnering with the G20 to develop a virtual center of excellence for green hydrogen to help accelerate its utilization, production, and trade across all countries. Our green hydrogen program is aimed at framing supporting policies and regulations and creating an investment environment so that members are ready to identify investment opportunities in commercially viable solar hydrogen projects. This is being done in close coordination with the participating governments. We look forward to collaborate with all interested organizations to achieve our common goal. I am personally delighted that Mr. Jyotilal, the Additional Chief Secretary for Energy from Kerala, is with us today in Bangalore in person. And I look forward to hear about the development of green hydrogen in Kerala. I am deeply grateful to him and look forward to the Kerala experience that can provide us with a roadmap on how we can get started politically, institutionally, and commercially. I sincerely thank all the speakers and participants who have been very kind to be a part of this session. My best wishes for a very informative session today and hope that we can have several such engagements as we all learn together. I thank you all very, very much.
Many thanks, DG. And I would now like to invite the other inaugural session panelist, Mr. Pradeep Thakran, Regional Advisor, Asian Development Bank. Could you please be on the dais? And I would like to invite Mr. K.R. Jyotilal, IS Kerala, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Kerala, please. Kindly come on the dais, please. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Rajnath Ramji. He's joining us virtually. And Shri Rajnath Ram is Advisor Energy at Niti Aayog, Government of India. He has been working on government policy and program formulation related to oil and natural gas, renewable energy, power, and coal. He's also leading the initiative of energy data management to create a robust energy data management system of international repute and is in charge of the initiative to set up an energy modeling unit within the Niti Aayog. Welcome to the inaugural session, sir. Over to you, Mr. Rajnath Ram.
Very good morning to all the distinguished delegates for this timely session on green hydrogen by International Solar Alliance and ADB. I have a small presentation. I just wanted to share that. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes.
So let me, yeah. We all know that recently government has announced the National Green Hydrogen Mission, and about 5 million ton of per annum a kind of target has been put for 2030, and this National Green Hydrogen Mission would largely cater to the export market as well as the domestic consumption. So we all know that this policy has been announced. So I wanted to present a small analysis that we did, that what are the near-term possible opportunities where we can quickly go for the decarbonization some of the hard-to-abate sector. India is currently importing around 2.6 million ton of the gray ammonia. So we, with a little of an analysis, we have come to the conclusion that the this could be a potential area where India can quickly go on in a decentralized mode of RE generation. So prior to just showing you the result, so these are the, I mean, broad context. I wanted to highlight the global green hydrogen demand uh, has already reached 94 million in 2021, and with the largest concentration is the refining and the chemical sector. And International Energy Agency net zero scenario says that the low emissions hydrogen would roughly increase up to about 450 million ton by 2050 or so. India, in the current gray hydrogen market, it occupies almost 8 to 9%, and it can still have the potential to capture 10% share of the global green hydrogen demand by 2050. So some of the calculations I just wanted to highlight. What are the assumptions that we have considered for that analysis is the landed cost of natural gas. We have done calculation for the gray ammonia versus green ammonia. That's the near future term where we can easily go for the decarbonizing the fertilizer sector. The landed cost of the natural gas, which includes different kind of that we have included, delivery cost of electricity, which includes the charges on the intrastate transmission, cross subsidy distribution, filling the power transmission and distribution losses. The capex for green hydrogen production, that includes the electrolyzer cost, shaft replacement, and the additional capex, which also includes the air separation unit, refrigeration, internal storage, and ammonia synthesis loop unit. Capex for the green hydrogen includes SMR unit, cost of replacement of tubes, catalyst. OPEX include general maintenance and the fuel cost, additional electricity requirement. All these kind of the scenarios we have assumed, and under which scenario we find that the as of now, if you really compare the comparative advantage of the green versus gray, here you find that at the different landed cost of the natural gas, this is the cost of gray hydrogen. This is the cost of gray hydrogen that we have calculated at different different landed cost of the natural gas, and we are importing more than 50% of our requirement in the form of LNG. So this is just cost comparative analysis. The figure that you see in the bracket and the non-bracket basically depicts that the 1.13 cost. Suppose we take the cost of LNG at $6 in the spot market, and if it is, when you consider the landed cost, it roughly comes to around $8. So at $8 per MMBTU, the cost of your gray hydrogen production is roughly coming to 1.1. This is the analysis by Indian Oil Corporation. But we also had a discussion with the Fertilizer Association, and they were indicating that the cost of fuel need not to be discounted. So that's the anomaly that we need to discuss with the industries and the Fertilizer Association to sort out this issue. When you are not discounting the cost of fuel, then the cost of your gray hydrogen production comes to around 1.64. So similarly, the other exercises we have done for taking different kind of the cost of LNG imported gas. Here we did the completely analysis for the decentralized mode of your RE power. If you are taking 100% your decentralized solar with the 30% capacity utilization factor, the cost of the second column, so third column shows the cost of your electricity, and that is the another column shows you the cost of your green hydrogen production as of now, and corresponding column shows the green ammonia production. So we found that while taking the banking solar, you are the cost of production is slightly lower as compared to the other scenario. This 100% RTC, this cost we have taken from the recently concluded bid, where this cost this is a discovered price of the round the clock power in the decentralized mode. Similarly, the other scenario in 2025, 2030, this kind of analysis we have done. We have also discounted some of the cost, which includes the electrolyzer cost, and the we are also assuming some kind of incentive that would help the sector. So as of now, the cost of gray ammonia at $16 US, still we are competitive in form of the when you are going for the green ammonia production, we are still competitive at the $16 per. This is the kind of analysis we have done, and the other this is the scenario that is based on the when you are drawing your power from the grid. So the moment you draw your power from the grid, the additional cost includes the cross subsidy and the open access surcharge. So all those inefficiencies in between, and your cost of electricity goes up. And the moment you draw your power from the grid, you become uncompetitive. So so there is a clearly a message from here that India can go in a big way, or at least because the fertilizer sector is a major consumer, and we can easily go for replacing the gray ammonia with the green. And the clear-cut business, and this we have calculated without considering the incentive that has been announced by the government. If we consider that aspect, that analysis we are doing on, so even in the some of the other scenarios that we have considered, maybe drawing power from the grid base, maybe that would also make a sense. So the message just I wanted to put forward, that there is a clear-cut business for green hydrogen within India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your very kind inaugural address. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Pradeep Thairakan, Regional Advisor, Asian Development Bank, Philippines. And I would give the floor to him now. Thank you.
I don't think I can go above this without a mic. Namaskar. Good morning to all of you. At the outset, I'd like to thank Dr. Ajay Mathur, DG ISA, for making the time to join us. I also want to recognize the presence of senior government officials here, Mr. Jyotilal, ACS Kerala, and also want to thank Mr. Rajnath Ram from Niti Aayog for making a presentation earlier. On behalf of the ADB, firstly, let me welcome all of you to this event. It's been our great privilege to collaborate with ISA over the past few years on promoting solar energy across ISA's member countries, and especially in within ADB's own developing member countries as well. And as all of you know, when we talk about green hydrogen, we really have to also talk about sources of renewable energy that's going to fuel that hydrogen. And so that's where the connection between solar and green hydrogen becomes all the more important. It's a real pleasure to be here with all of you. I have recently moved to Delhi as ADB's regional advisor for energy transition financing. It's going to be a long learning journey for me, and I look forward to working with all of you to support the worthy causes that you're involved in. Just want to say a couple of things before handing over to the practitioners and the policymakers and the experts in the room and who've joined us virtually, who are really sort of working on this important cause. As you all know, many countries have made net zero emission goals statements, and green hydrogen is going to be an important part of that. On ADB's part, we are extremely serious about supporting our clients on their clean energy transition pathways. We have positioned ourselves as Asia's climate finance bank. Our president at the Glasgow Climate Conference announced that ADB will commit to deploying $100 billion for climate finance between 2019 and 2030. That is a lot of money for ADB, but it's not a lot of money considering the amount of investments that countries need. All of you know about the extent of investment that is needed. So what we are seeking to do is really provide our money and our support in very strategic ways. We want to be able to work with states that are taking leadership positions like Kerala, who just recently announced a 200 crore green hydrogen program, pilot program. We want to be able to work with key research institutes in the country, think tanks, national organizations like Niti Aayog, and the private sector and the large PSUs as well. So with that, let me just thank you again for being here, and I look forward to a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Many thanks, Pradeep ji, for your inaugural comments. I would now request Mr. K.R. Jyotilal, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Kerala, to give inaugural address. A brief introduction, please. Mr. K.R. Jyotilal belongs to the 1993 batch Indian Administrative Services and is currently the Additional Chief Secretary, General Administration, Power, Forest and Wildlife Departments, Government of Kerala. Mr. Jyotilal has held several portfolios in his career spanning 30 years, including district collector and those related to IT, transport, revenue, among others. He has been instrumental in projects related to high-tech agriculture, smart city Kochi, e-mobility, and hydrogen economy, to name a few. Mr. Jyotilal will update us on the green hydrogen initiatives taken by Kerala State. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, friends. Shataragan and ISA representatives. Yeah, probably you can go to the second slide. Yeah. Thank you for giving an opportunity to share some of the thoughts. What Kerala is always, it's called God's own country. God means generation, organization, disintegration. Whether you generate power, the source of energy, we have to all go back to our roots. Where is the energy coming from? It's from the sun. Hydrogen becomes helium, it's a fusion. So we need to look at how we can use the first, among the elements, hydrogen is the hero and carbon is the zero. We have to go back to we should be, it's like 1 and 0. We need to go back to our roots. That is where the relevance of hydrogen economy is. In fact, if you take, we consider we need to have a holistic approach as far as the electrons, molecules, and energy are concerned. Whether it is solar, it's a radiation. It's a molecule form, it is a hydrogen. If it is a vibration, it's so that's why in the Gayatri Mantra it says Om Bhur Bhuva Soga. There are 3 words, even we are 3 in 1, mind, body, Atma. The materialization, vibration, radiation. So energy, molecule, and electron, we need to have a comprehensive view. So now coming back to the hydrogen economy, if you say look at the world, how the hydrogen is produced, mostly from natural gas and coal. So I think that is where the shift from carbon to hydrogen has to happen, means we need to look for green hydrogen. That's the relevance. Go to the next slide. Yeah. India annually we import roughly around 160 billion US dollar for import of the oil as well as natural gas. So how this can save, or Indian currency can also become very strong once you produce the energy. It's like energy independence to independence. So I think that is where the role of hydrogen is, because the cost of the fuel, as you said, somebody was showing that, natural gas prices shot up from $7. So I think, so there are 3 crises in the making. As Honorable Prime Minister in our Chief Secretary's meeting has mentioned, there are 3 crises which are going to come with the climate change. One is food, fuel, fertilizer. So food crisis, fertilizer crisis, and fuel. All the 3 things, you need hydrogen key, or the solar So the food comes from solar energy, okay, fertilizer, green ammonia, and if it is a fuel, then you need to shift to green hydrogen or hydrogen-based products. Next, yeah, next. Yeah, if you see, India is the largest import of grey hydrogen-based ammonia in the world. I think not many people know that we import 21.7%. That is the relevance. Yeah, next. If you see the RE resources of India, we are quite good compared to the rest of the world. Next. Next slide. Yeah. India high energy solar security. So if you take the 365 days, the variation is minimal. Consistency is there. So that is one of the plus points why India has over the rest of the world. Next. Then average wind speed at 100-meter height. There also we are very suitably placed. Next. And wind conditions across the year. This graph shows, we have got good potential throughout the year. Next. Yeah, if you say this is very important because India generates solar power at the world's record low cost. That means, in fact, Cochin is the world's first international airport to be run 100% on solar. And we have got excess capacity of 26 megawatt. Now we are giving free charging at 76 charging point in Kochi International Airport. Anybody wants to charge, please come and charge free. So that is the way. I think that is why now we are going for how you can convert the excess solar into grey sustainable aviation fuel, so that the aviation sector we should be able to give it at cheaper rate, and the aviation which contributes sizable emission, I think we can reduce it. Yeah, India is at the lowest, maybe 47. Next. Next. Yeah. Green hydrogen from renewables, it will be competitive by 2025 with the blue hydrogen and grey hydrogen by 2027. One more breakthrough has come after this slide. Let me tell you, yesterday we had the Cochin IIT Madras, which has done a study for GAIL. They found that peat gas is, they can generate, that is basically for the available methane, which is available, you can make at 60 rupees per kg, which probably might be less than $1. We are going ahead with a pilot project by which the methane carbon black, which without, you don't need a carbon capture. So you can CH4 methane can be converted into hydrogen, and then you can take the carbon and make maybe diamonds or whatever you want. So I think this is a breakthrough technology which is patented by IIT Madras. So that is another important aspects which we are looking at. Next. Yeah. India will be able to export the low-cost green hydrogen to the rest of the world. As I said, $1 by 2030. Probably we may be able to, from peat gas, we can do it at less than $1. Maybe green hydrogen, $1 is possible. 2.5, that means 240 to 270 rupees per kg is what Reliance has offered to us, provided you aggregate a demand of 1 lakh tons. Now I will come to that, how we aggregated the demand side. Yeah, next. Next. Yeah, this I think National Green Hydrogen Mission, which I think all of you know it. We are looking at 500 gigawatts solar power. In fact, we have done a survey. In fact, World Bank is doing the bathymetric study and geotechnical and geophysical investigation for 660 reservoirs in Kerala. We have got 3000 TMC water, out of which only 300 TMC we are using for power generation. So power, pump storage, something around 11 gigawatt is the potential. Floating solar and wind, 9 gigawatt. Roughly around 20 gigawatt is the potential which is available. Next. Yeah. Yeah, why Kerala? I think Kerala is announced that we want to become carbon neutral by 2050, 20 years ahead of the national target. And we want to become 100% RE by 2040. In fact, the Trivandrum city is made solar city. 500 megawatt is going to be generated by rooftop solar in all government buildings. And government vehicles are supposed to be only green. So you cannot buy a diesel vehicle unless you take a cabinet sanction. And all the government vehicles, you put a charging center, they can charge it freely. We can probably avoid the budget head for fuel from those departments. Yeah, we have announced in our EV policy 3,000 buses and 1,000 trucks. So where we initially wanted to go electric, but then we saw the range anxiety, the battery cost, the volume, all these things is, shows that it is better to go for a fuel cell instead of as a storage medium than battery. So that is where we came to the hydrogen fuel cell. Initially, we wanted to go for hydrogen. Now, another breakthrough which has happened is already HICE engines have been developed where the existing BS4 engine upwards you can convert into HICE, maybe at a cost of 10 to 12 lakhs. That is where I think critical factor is we need to make carbon fiber tanks in India. I think Gujarat, they are going to manufacture it. So India needs to make a carbon fiber tank so that the cost is affordable for everyone. It's quite easy that convert a bus or a BS4 or a bus or truck. Already 24 buses are running in Gujarat and one truck I am going to see in the afternoon here, which I think in Whitefield they have demonstrated. So conversion, maybe the first step to a hydrogen economy can be HICE route or a methanol. But methanol, the cost of investment will be very high. So HICE might be the first step. Probably just like what happened in the solar, the cost of solar, the fuel cell will come down in maybe 5 to 10 years. I think it will become affordable for everyone. Then we have PRT across the state we have worked out roughly a demand of 450 tons per day will be the requirement if you go for hydrogen ports. And we have innovated by which you can convert the existing KSCB ports itself into a structure so that the PRT can be put on top. Then shipping side, already we have brought the single largest fleet of 76 electric boats under one single command and control using open mobility network is in Kochi. That's the first of its kind in the world. In fact, this Alstom coach, which use LTO battery. Now we are replacing the LTO battery with a fuel cell. Cochin Shipyard is doing that. That is first of its kind. I think that will be another breakthrough achievement. We have got a national waterway of almost 613 kilometers where we can put these small boats. In fact, green shipping is another area which Cochin Shipyard and Cochin Port is working on it. In fact, the 14th we are having discussion with Hamburg Port Authority how we can export the green hydrogen, liquid hydrogen from Kochi. And India Hydrogen Alliance is working the DPR for a 150 megawatt electrolyzer and 60 ton liquefaction unit. Kochi, we have got the LNG terminal where the cold energy from LNG can be used to liquefy the hydrogen at a very cheap rate, which is very competitive. And you can use liquid hydrogen can be exported in big ships with 200 to 300 ton tankers, spherical tankers. So that is where another important aspect which India has to look at is making cryogenic tankers and cryogenic ships within India. I think that is what Cochin Shipyard is working with the McDermott, Kawasaki, LS2. These are the three companies which have already got liquid hydrogen carriers in the world. Another one is Cochin Refinery is already using 140 tons of hydrogen. Air Products USA has invested it. There 30% has to become liquid, green hydrogen by 2030. This is another big market for, then apart from that, the FACT which use ammonia, 0.31 lakh tons ammonia they require. So green ammonia for the FACT. If you aggregate it, it will cross 1 lakh tons. So mobility, refinery, FACT, then next one is the aviation, sustainable aviation fuel, which Cochin International Airport is working with the companies like Greenstat to make SAF available for the aviation sector. Next. Yeah. In fact, Kerala has already made the climate action plan for each sector so that we can become carbon neutral by 2050. And sector-wise, it has been made. Probably these are all things which RE potential is very good. The vibrant power sector, probably we have got lowest T&D losses in the entire country, less than 8%. 100% collection efficiency in the power sector. And we are a front runner in hydrogen adoption. We have got actually the first Mirai car in 2019, much before maybe that was brought by the Toyota. Then we have gone for second generation Toyota car. Now 10 hydrogen buses as a feeder for the Kochi Metro. The tender has been called. Probably Sri Ramkumar is here. So we got a quote for a high rate for hydrogen. So they are going ahead with it. Maybe we have requested IOC to set up a hydrogen fueling station at Kochi. so that both the water metro as well as the buses can be fueled from there. Then demand centers I already covered. Then ecosystem for, you have got the gas pipe, which is LNG gas pipeline from Kochi to Mangalore and now to Coimbatore. So you can have 5% can be added in the mixed in the city gas distribution or the gas pipeline. In fact, city gas also distribution in come in all the districts. So this is another major maybe demand center. Then export location. Both the Vizhinjam port and Cochin port are looking at what is a tie-up with ports in Europe and other countries where we can export. So Rotterdam port is already tied up with Vizhinjam port, which is run by Adani, and Cochin port is tying with the Hamburg port, so that we can export to those countries. R&D is another thing. Hydrogen Valley, actually on 14th of this month, we are having the meeting in the Netherlands. TU Delft and Impact Hydrogen and IIT Palghat is coordinating that. Along with the DST support, we are making hydrogen valleys in both the Vizhinjam as well as in the Cochin side. It's a triple helix structure where the R&D industry as well as the academia should come together, so that we address the all the issues on the all the various aspects which are missing. So next. In fact, already it was mentioned that we announced a 2 billion in the last budget last week, the state budget for funding, whether VGF grant or being a PPP, taking our equity participation in a PPP mode. So this is the RE sector. I think most of you are aware of it. I think Kerala is blessed with enough rainfall and sunlight and wind. So I think as Nostradamus has predicted, the world where 3 oceans meet, that will be the plus of world trade in the 21st century. I think maybe with the, as you say, the greatest scientist ever born on earth was the king of Kerala, who had this technology to sun, moon and star. And he tried to change the planetary position of the earth, where the earth rotation got affected for 1 second. Scientists know that it is affected, but who is responsible? I think probably we should be. So it is time for Kerala to lead in science and technology. I am sure these new technologies and innovations will take the country to next step. In fact, next, please. Especially, we have got a huge deposits of thorium, which is, I think, is one of the, India can become carbon neutral. We need to develop other potentials, including nuclear. Thorium for next 100 years, power generation from thorium will be possible. In fact, second generation and high fast breeder reactors are there. We are in touch with some of the companies in US. I think probably Atomic Energy Agency should have a very open mind, because these deposits are now, it's a God's given gift. So we should tap that potential. In fact, Kayangulam, we have got 1,180 acres with the NDPC lying idle. That's the best place for hydrogen hub. You have got thorium, you have got peat gas. So you can make less than $1 a reality much before 2030. Yeah, this is, I think, unique advantage. I think I already covered the potential for maybe the average solar insolation as well as the wind speed. Yeah, next. Next. Yeah, this is also, I think, more or less I covered in my. So we have got 8,000 kilometers of canal. The mounted solar is possible, 60 reservoirs, and if at least 10% of it we use, we will be able to easily generate 9 gigawatt. Yeah. Then what is the floating solar? Already I said in the World Bank doing the study. Once that is there, we have put a single window approach mechanism under the chief secretary, so that no department, you need not run after multiple single windows. One single window where everything is cleared and the policy, everything can be cleared in one go. In fact, ANERT is doing the DPR, and then whichever company is willing to invest, we will give both the option. You can sell the power to KSEB or the regulator, or in the exchange. ISTS charge is already waived. Third one is you can give to captive power units, captive demand, from the industry like Airtel, Reliance, all of them require roughly around 150 to 200 megawatt. Next. Key policies that also I think more or less I covered. I think we pumped storage is another good potential. As I said, only 300 TMC water we are using out of 3,000 TMC. With the pumped storage, we can generate 11,000 megawatt. Next. these are the why Kerala is a front runner as far as the hydrogen. Already the BPCL is there, hydrogen fueling stations are being built, hydrogen valleys, a bus, then pilot in a fuel cell bus already Cochin Shipyard is doing that. Partnership, international partnership with the rest of the world. We are at it. Next. Yeah, which are the demand centers? As I said, refinery, ammonia production, methanol, then transport side, both the Kochi Metro as well as the STUs and private sector, heat and power generation. We have got a GCC, which is where hydrogen is a byproduct. Only you need to purify it to 99.99%. We are working on it so that it's a byproduct which is going waste. So next. Yeah, then potential sites, already we have, you can, we have got a corridor which we would like to develop as the economic development corridor, the national waterway from one end to the other. Next. Yeah, this is a water metro, you see, 100-seater and air-conditioned Alstom coaches, which is running. It's probably first of its kind in the world. And the right side, you can see the trucks and the buses, which are HICE engines, which are run on HICE. Next. Next. Yeah, this is the international airport, which is a solar, I think, previous slide. Okay. Yeah. This is, I think, Cochin International Airport, where they are working on this app as a next target. Next. Yeah, these are the ports which are available, which are well connected to the rest of the world, which can be the export centers and the liquefaction centers. Next. So I said, which are the international global cooperation. India Hydrogen Alliance is already preparing the DPR for a techno-commercial feasibility for 140 megawatt electrolyzer and 60-ton liquefaction unit adjoining the Petronet. Next. Next. Green hydrogen values I already covered. Next. And MOU with the Port of Rotterdam we are already having for the Vizhinjam port. Next. Yeah. Then Hamburg port we are having the meeting on 14 for the cooperation. Next. Then feed gas, I said, 60 rupees per kg and thorium-based reactors for power generation. Next. This is the energy observer from French, which has visited how man can live in harmony with the nature with the zero emission. They have gone around the globe. They came to Kochi. They are using only solar, wind, hybrid technology, using fuel cell from Toyota, and they could go around the globe. They were using seawater, purifying it into ultra pure water for drinking as well as hydrogen generation. So they could go around the globe. This is the best proof, and we are going in the next step with the liquid hydrogen carriers. Next. Why Kerala? So I think most of the points I have already covered. We are giving all the incentives, what the industry is required. Already VGF has been announced. We would like to make Kerala as the hub for RE as well as the hydrogen. So Kerala can be a first hydrogen economy in the entire country and the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jyotilalji. Ladies and gentlemen, with your consent, I'll take 2 minutes to give an overview of the ISA hydrogen program. If my slides can be put up there, please. No, I think this is fine. So this is ISA program for green hydrogen. This is supported by ISA ADB technical assistance program. And we'll go to the next slide, please. The program objective is to accelerate solar hydrogen production, utilization, and trade across countries. That's the overall umbrella projective. And ISA's role, many people ask that, what's ISA's role specific? So we support an assessment of green hydrogen ecosystem currently existing in our member countries, which are 112, and also help them in developing further the ecosystem. And we do this through enabling policy and regulatory framework support, identifying technology gap, like Mr. Jyotilalji mentioned about the electrolyzers. There are different kind of electrolyzers at different status of existence right now, need a lot of technology improvement. Facilitating investment environment for commercially viable solar hydrogen projects. And then we help the countries identify viable projects, pipeline across hydrogen value chain, solar hydrogen value chain. And then we create global synergies and leveraging partnerships with public and private sectors. That's the platform we provide to the member countries. The next one, please. Again, approach and methodology, I won't take time. It's capacity building and ecosystem readiness support by doing different things like deep diving, country level studies and engagements, then support member countries in developing roadmap for production, utilization, and trade. And information dissemination is very important for the knowledge management and capacity building side, where we do webinars, regional workshops, etc. The next one, please. This is just to tell you that, as we all know, see from 2019 to 2050, there is almost 300% increase in the demand in different sectors. Then green hydrogen current, unfortunately, is less than 1% in production. So we need, and it's expected to increase exponentially because of the RE cost coming down, electrolyzer cost coming down, and a lot of emphasis on the NTCs announced by the countries. And so with increasing capacity of green hydrogen, increasing and cost of electrolyzer is coming down, we expect the, this virtuous cycle to develop further. Next one, please. This we can skip. As we all know, green hydrogen demand will be energy, storage medium and power sector, then long haul transports as a fuel and remote and, residential and industrial sector. And of course, as a feedstock, sorry for the spelling mistake, it's a feedstock for commercial industries. We go to the next one, please. Yeah, this is the hydrogen corridor. If you can see, we've just tried to map. I'm thankful for KPMG support in developing this. They are different regions of the world where they've mapped, which region is good as a potential exporter, which region is good as a potential importer. Some regions are good in terms of production and utilizing in-house itself. So they are the, like Australia as a front runner, future exporter for green hydrogen. Russia, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Chile, top green ammonia exporters, etc. Going to the next one. Yeah, this is the COP report that our DG mentioned. This ADB ISA report on developing a framework to assess the ecosystem readiness of countries. We've done it for 37 of our member countries, and we have figured out 4 categories in which they are bucketed, depending upon what is their different kind of readiness level in terms of 8 or 10 parameters, which we call screening parameters, how they fare on that and where they have to go, which parameters they have to improve on. So this report was launched in COP in Sharm el-Sheikh, and these are the different parameters we use as screening parameters for developing the framework and ecosystem readiness check. The next one, please. Now, just the last slide, it's what we are doing for G20. Going to the next one, in G20, we have been mandated by the ministry to develop a virtual global center of excellence platform, which will be a one-stop, very unique platform. Because there are 8 or 10 global level platforms existing right now, but not every platform is a one-stop platform because they are good, they're doing something and then not doing the other one. We're trying to make it very comprehensive with knowledge dissemination, having global projects, announcements, best practices, case studies. I would like to mention here a close collaboration we have under the ISA EU TA, where EU is helping us build a lot of best practices, case studies, and learnings through them and insights. Network and partners, of course, this is very important for this platform to get all the stakeholders together across the entire value chain. The next one, please. Yeah, so this is not just for G20, and as ministry, the Indian presidency keeps telling us, this platform will also serve entire energy community beyond G20. Because as you know, ISA is a membership, 112 countries, And we want to make it a global platform which will continue existing year by year and developing further irrespective of the Indian presidency for this year. And this is clear mandate given to us by the MNR. The next one. I think with this, I would like to thank everyone. I would now like to request Mr. Jeevan Sharma Acharya. He's working as Principal Energy Specialist. Could you please come on the dais as the moderator, please? We have a very rich panel, ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. Jeevan Sharma Acharya, he's working as a Principal Energy Specialist in the Energy Division of South Asia Department of Asian Development Bank, Philippines. Mr. Sharma has very kindly agreed to be our moderator. He currently focuses on developing and implementing energy efficiency, renewable energy projects, and is the focal person for regional cooperation in South Asia, including India. I would like the other panelists who are here. Mr. Matthew Geese, he's joining us online. Dr. Ram Kumar, Director R&D, kindly come on the stage. He's in the board of Indian Oil Corporation. Mr. Jonas Morberg is CEO of Green Hydrogen Organization and also ISA partner in the Hydrogen Standard Development Program that we are starting. Mr. Arnav Sinha unfortunately couldn't join us. Oh yeah, I think he's right here. Thank you. Thanks Arnav for joining. And then we have Shaji John. I hope he is able to join us. Yes, I see him on the screen. Professor Prakash Ghosh, who very kindly agreed to come despite his ill health. Last 2-3 days he has been sick and he's come from IIT Bombay. Over to you, Jeevan, for taking the panel forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mridula. So I would also like to welcome all of you to this event on green hydrogen and also especially to this panel discussion today. We have been hearing about the importance of green hydrogen, what has happened and what needs to be done. But it is also important that we have a very direct interaction with the real practitioners who are on the ground, who deal with the green hydrogen on a day-to-day basis, who have made their hands dirty with working on this green hydrogen. So, of course, green hydrogen in a next 30 or 40 minutes, what we plan to do is to dive a little bit deep in the 4 main areas of green hydrogen, and this includes, on the technology development, on the technological development. The other one will be related to the standards and so on. The third one will be related to the business models, market and business models, and fourth related to how can we make this green hydrogen more resilient. So this is where the policies and also work with the public-private sectors, research organizations, financial institutions and others. How do we work together in all of these areas? So these are the 4 main issues that we wanted to tackle in our panel discussion today. We have 6 panelists who bring a wealth of information, knowledge and experience from various organizations and various aspects of it. So what we will do is that we'll, given the shortage of time, I will go very quickly to introduce them and then start with some of these questions that we have for them so that they can elaborate that further. I will, yeah. So you have to go first, right? Yeah, okay. So, okay, so what we'll do is that, I will introduce our panelists, give them a little bit of background so that all of you are aware of, what experience and knowledge that they bring in. And then I will also be requesting, for them to say a few words more. So let me, go in a very random order. So let me start with Dr. Ramakumar. He's the Director of R&D and he's on the board of Indian Oil Corporation Limited, India. And Dr. Ramakumar has more than 3 decades of experience in the hydrocarbon sector. Currently is pioneering various alternative energy programs, including waste to energy, biosolar and energy storage, and steering the Indian Oil Hydrogen initiative there. So what I would like to request is, Dr. Ramakumar, being an Indian Oil Corporation, a giant oil company, how are you getting into this hydrogen? And then, of course, some of these areas and the technologies, business models, and then also standards and so on. If you could elaborate a little further on that one, we will really appreciate it. So Dr. Ramakumar, please.
And I won't be obstructing the vision. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I thank Dr. Ajay Mathur, Director General ISA, and other fellow panelists for giving me this opportunity. I will be in the next 5 minutes or 6 minutes, what was allotted to me, go through the initiatives of Indian, obviously, in hydrogen, but I would like to present the entire oil and gas industry, what it is doing in Indian oil and gas industry, what it is doing in the domain of hydrogen. Next slide, please. Next slide. You skip this slide and the next slide. Jyotilal sir has already covered what are the key elements of recently announced hydrogen roadmap. So I would like to only one thing, that this is still in fine print in hydrogen mission, what was announced. All the headline items, every one of us know, but our interaction on the very second day of announcing the National Hydrogen Mission with Honorable Minister of Power, he has brought these key points, that there is going to be a PLI scheme for electrolyzer manufacturing, to trigger the indigenous manufacturing of the key element which is involved for green. And Minister MNRE is going to work out a incentive program for green hydrogen production with some time limits for 3 years. It is contemplating of giving incentives for green hydrogen production to whosoever is engaged. Low cost renewable energy is anyway there already. The most important clarification that Honorable Minister has given is, since the electrolyzer industry, to set electrolyzer industry in India takes some time, for the next 3 to 4 years, government is going to waive the import duties on electrolyzers. We need to import electrolyzers so far. So anybody, those who are taking the first mover initiative for green hydrogen production, they have to import the electrolyzers. And in a very, very significant announcement by Government of India, they have said that they are going to this import. And standard bidding document for green hydrogen procurement, because government is actually like the power purchase agreements in the renewable power, they want to encourage that people shouldn't be setting up green hydrogen in small units here and there. That will never give you the cost advantage. So they want to act as aggregator and bid for hydrogen, and they would aggregate and they would like to either give it to you, and any surplus hydrogen they will like to export. So these two are key enablements and key elaborations from the National Hydrogen Mission. Next slide, please. So what oil industry is doing? So I have all the numbers, because we act as the nodal person for Indian oil and gas industry. Every month we have to give this update to our Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Indian Oil R&D acts as the nodal agency. So IOCL announced that it is going to set up right now 56 megawatt capacity of electrolyzers. By 2030, it is going to be 560 megawatts. So in all, if you compare all the oil industries, HPCL made its announcements, BPCL, GAIL, MRPL, NRL, all put together, it is going to total to more than 1,000 megawatts of electrolyzer capacity. By 2030, it is going to be set up. And that will translate into a green hydrogen production capability in the country, in the refining segment, to 137 KTA by 2030. And this will constitute 10% of the total hydrogen being consumed by Indian oil and gas sector. Because for us, it is the lifeline. We are the largest producers, largest consumers today of gray hydrogen. So initial thinking, and government has not come up yesterday. In yesterday's panel also, Secretary MNRE has mentioned that green hydrogen consumption obligation. They are thinking twice. Initially, all sorts of numbers were floating, whether it is 1% or 3% or 5%. Now government is not going to fix any particular number for green hydrogen consumption obligation. It is going to fix a time period by which entire gray hydrogen used by refineries will be converted into green hydrogen. But in the run up to these GHCO obligations, the entire oil industry has geared up, and our initial consensus is by 2030, we are going to at least convert 10% of the total hydrogen that we are using from gray to green. And that's how we calculated our numbers. That's how we have calculated our investment flows into this, both in terms of RE infrastructure, electrolyzer capacities. These are the numbers. Next slide, please. So what major oil companies are doing? Like, for example, HPCL, I'll come to IOC in the last. My sister, HPCL is working on a 5 nm cube per hour anion exchange membrane electrolyzer. So, I mean, we sincerely believe, oil companies sincerely believe the real answer for green hydrogen production is neither alkaline nor PEM. It is somewhere middle path, and that is anion exchange membrane. And both HPCL and BPCL, they are working on with BARC for developing these AEM electrolyzer technology. And they are also having hydrogen injection in natural gas. Oil India Limited has already set up a demo unit based on the AEM electrolyzer. This is what I was mentioning to Jyotilalji in the morning. Eneptar is the company which supplied this stack to Oil India Limited. And GAIL is also working on setting up green hydrogen electrolyzer based production. And so they are leading the spiking of hydrogen in natural gas grid at 2% volume. They are already doing a 2% spiking of hydrogen in natural gas. Next slide, please. This is the snapshot of all the initiatives that Indian Oil, my company, is doing. We have already done a mammoth experiment in Delhi, in the national capital of Delhi, where we have set up a hydrogen CNG production plant. 18% of hydrogen in CNG, and we ran 50 city buses, Delhi Transport Corporation city buses, for 6 months instead of CNG with HCNG. And we got fantastic results from the field. There is going to be 70% reduction in carbon monoxide emissions, and there will be 5% fuel economy compared to the baseline CNG. This is an Honorable Supreme Court monitored project. We have submitted the report, and we are waiting for the legislative direction from the statutory bodies so that we can replicate this experiment. And we didn't physically blend the hydrogen. This is worth noting. We didn't physically blend hydrogen and CNG. We have partially reformed. We have a patented partial reforming process wherein natural gas can be partially reformed to give 18% hydrogen CNG mixture. I can control that. I can control that percentage also. If I want, I can take it to 50% hydrogen by changing the catalyst. So that is the patented process that we have. We have a very holistic program wherein we are pursuing 4 different pathways for production of green hydrogen. Electrolyzer pathway is there. In electrolyzer also, we are going to set up demo units on both on alkaline, on PEM, on SOEC. So this is coming up in the middle of 2023 in our second campus at Faridabad, second R&D campus at Faridabad. And we are also working on reforming compressed biogas, which is produced from the waste, organic waste, as a waste to energy exercise. And this compressed gas is going to be reformed into green hydrogen. all hydrogen will be supplied to 15 hydrogen fuel cell buses, and we are going to run 15 hydrogen fuel cell buses in Delhi NCR region. Tata Motors, we are collaborating with Tata Motors. They are going to supply first set of 3 buses are going to be delivered at our R&D center by 20th of February, this February. And we are also working along the value chain of hydrogen, both in terms of storage, in mobility. Lot of pilot plants. Ji has already mentioned it. With Kerala government, we are going to do a pilot project of running fuel cell buses. In Gujarat, we are going to do fuel cell buses. Hydrogen dispensing stations we are setting up. Next slide, please. So I think only 2 more slides. I know I'm constrained. You are also constrained. What other sectors are in India? Where are the other sectors? This is oil and gas, what we talked about. So fertilizer and steel, Government of India has earmarked these 3 sectors in that order. Refining first, followed by steel sector, and followed by fertilizer sector. So in all these, there will be some green hydrogen consumption obligation mandate that government is going to come up. And this is how these are the numbers. I'll leave this presentation with ISA. And for paucity of time, I'm not explaining this. Last slide, please. The other, private sector players, what they are doing, I have compiled this. Reliance, Adani, Greenco, Railway, one of them are NTPC, Cochin Shipyard, they all are having their own programs. But I would only end my presentation coming from a R&D ecosystem. What technology imperatives that are still required to make hydrogen a mainstream energy form? So that slide, next slide, please. This is all we have done. We have fueled the Toyota Mirai. We have run the prototype hydrogen fuel cell buses. We are running a hydrogen-based forklifter. We have done a hydrogen bike. All of them are running in our own R&D center. Next one, please. Next one. Yeah, this is the last slide. In each of these critical components, there is a lot of research imperatives. Like electrolyzer, the electrocatalysts we need to have a focus on electrocatalysts, bipolar plates, and balance of the plant. Biomass can come to our rescue for green hydrogen and bringing the green hydrogen costs. Hydrogen transportation, how much hydrogen can be infused in the existing pipeline structure? Lot of intense work is going on at our R&D center and at various schools. Liquid organic hydrogen carriers. Again, Jyotilal ji has mentioned a lot of work is going on at IIT Bombay, at IOC R&D, and at IIT Madras. A lot of work is going on liquid organic, and of course, fuel cell to reduce the PGM content, pressure group metal content. A lot of work is going on. So, unless these research programs come to a fruition, we are not going to have cost efficiencies. We are not going to have the technology maturity. I think with this, I'll conclude. I have already overstepped my time. I also need to leave this conference for some other engagement. So I once again thank. And if there are any questions, I don't know, would you like to allow the questions right now? Or I would encourage that you can write. Anybody would like to interact with us more, they can write to me. My email ID is with ISA. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramakumar. I know that we have given you very little time to cover. We really appreciate coming here. So now, thank you so much. So now let's move on to our Green Hydrogen Organization. So I would like to introduce Mr. Jonas Moberg, is the CEO of a Green Hydrogen Organization in Geneva. He is a former Swedish diplomat. He has worked in the private sector as a senior advisor to the UN Secretariat and been involved with a number of non-profit organizations. He has also co-authored a book, Beyond Governments, Making Collective Governments Work. So, Mr. Jonas, welcome and thank you so much for accepting our invitation to join this meeting. I know that I understand that you are joining this from UK. Must be very early morning for you. So, really appreciate that effort. So, if you could kindly, talk about what your organization is doing and some of these areas, especially on the standardizations and so on, and also what are the if you could lay down who needs to do what, so that this green hydrogen can move forward. I think if you can do that one in the next 3-4 minutes, we really appreciate you. Over to you, Mr. Dora. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me, and it's wonderful to be part of it this way. I think you've really brought together an excellent group today, Mridula and the team at ISA. I also particularly wanted to applaud the leadership that we've heard from Kerala State here. I think the ambition and vision that it's showing is just extraordinary. And I think that it's exactly the kinds of leadership that we now need at state level, following the mission that is happening at national level. I think we're all aware of that. Our industry is totally needed. There's no way we can decarbonize without it. So it's got to happen. The challenges are formidable. We, of course, are facing what you might call a first mover's disadvantage, meaning this is largely an industry with very big capital expenditures, capital costs. And of course, renewable energy is out there, it's free. So it is, I don't know if, okay. Maybe the photographer, once he's done, then I can see a little bit, makes it a little bit easier. Thank you very much. Now, so huge capital costs, virtually very, very low operational costs. And we, of course, know that the capital costs are going to fall dramatically. We talk about it as the green hydrogen economy already exists. It doesn't really. So there are so many technical and practical issues with getting the scale, the efficiency of the electrolyzers, and so on, to get all of these things happening. What should we be doing is a very good question. And in particular, that organizations that I say, the government and we need to take to heart in terms of enabling the industry, enabling the private sector. I think, firstly, we're seeing now a huge amount of leadership by the Indian government, by the US government through the Inflation Reduction Act. I think you're all aware of that. There's a tax credit of up to $3 per kilo, and also the EU are taking steps. By and large, this is hugely welcome. In many places, we're going to need further steps. We need better, very fast, improved regulation and rules in order to enable our industry. We particularly here need to focus on planning and permitting, making sure that we can get access to the renewable energy as quickly as we need. For the international trade to happen, which obviously is a key part of this, we also need, as you alluded to, standards, and we need a common understanding of what green hydrogen actually is. And we also need standards in terms of land use, water use, and so on. And it's very easy to say this, but of course, each government has its own preferences in what standards and rules look like. And that is why, for example, my colleagues and I have been working on the green hydrogen standard, which I believe that my colleague Nish, who I think sits just below where the camera is, and maybe Nish, you can wave to everyone and show them the standard. I see your hand there, that's great. So he's our representative in India, and we're now working with a group of Indian companies on piloting and starting to use this standard, a standard that is bringing together the requirements in producing countries like India to hopeful importing markets such as the EU. And this is creating, hopefully, a level playing field. Am I talking too long, or? So this is creating a level playing field that we need globally. The other thing I wanted to come on to, where a lot of us need to do a lot, is when it comes to the financing, because of course we need absolutely enormous amounts of capital to make this happen. And we need here new forms of innovative, blended and concessionary finance. The lion's share of the capital, no doubt, has to come from the private sector and private financial institutions. But we need our government and entities such as the ADB, and why we're really glad to work very closely with them, to essentially catalyze and mobilize, facilitate this private funding. And we have never done something on this scale before. It's almost like a warlike effort that needs to happen if we're going to see the ramping up over the next couple of years that we're so keen to see. So all in all, I think we work very closely with partners in China, in Europe, in the US, in North Africa. There is no doubt that both from the government side and the private sector side, there is a huge amount of leadership in India. You are doing extremely well compared at an international level. We now need to work fast to learn from each other and create the regulatory conditions required, using these global standards such as the Green Hydrogen Standard, which has just adopted, I should also have said, it's ammonia protocol. So we also have a definition of what green ammonia is. And then lastly, of course, to make sure that we make the necessary finance available. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think you covered very well, and your colleague here has also given us the copies of the standards here, so we really appreciate that one. Thank you so much. If time permits, we may come back for any more questions. So now let me move on to Mr. Matthew Geze. He is a director, Asia, SDF Energy, Indonesia, based in Jakarta. SDF Energy is a French independent power producer dedicated to hydrogen power. Matthew has over 13 years of experience in renewable energy through various positions within IPP, EPC, and key supplier companies. Matthew, so nice to see you again, and then thank you so much for joining us this session. So since you are so much into the actual projects, I think if you can bring in that perspective into what are the difficulties that you are facing, and then how other stakeholders should support a person like you and company like yours so that we can have more projects there. Over to you, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you for Isa for the invitation also. I understand that the time is limited, so I propose to share an open talk and not slides. So as you said, my name is Mathieu. I'm based in Jakarta, Indonesia, to cover Asia region, including India. We are present now in 7 countries of Asia, and HDF role is to be developer and investor of hydrogen projects. Our main focus is the power sector. And why did we choose to focus on power application? Because we do believe that in the power application, we can make commercial scale projects happen today without subsidies if we target the right context. And the main challenge of hydrogen projects, as we discussed today and in many other workshops, is to be able to find on the short run the right economy of scales to decrease the cost, to develop the infrastructure, to implement the supply chain. This will happen, I have no doubt, but it will take a while, 2 years, 5 years, a decade. I have no ideas. But today, green hydrogen is expensive. If we want to use it for fertilizer companies, for steel making and so on, someone needs to cover an extra cost, extra price. So whether it's the government through subsidies, the industry or the final consumer, but someone need to cover that extra price. So that's why I think it will take time, but we see good signals worldwide national roadmap being issued, some subsidies in Europe, for example, which are accelerating the scaling up of the industry. That is really positive. But the economy of scale won't happen in one day. So I come back to what I was saying in the beginning. On our side, we are dedicated to hydrogen projects, and we don't want to wait 10 years to make a real project happen. So we noticed that in the power sector, the grids, for example, can meet specific issues when you look at island grids like, and I will give example from India, when you look at island grids like Andaman, when you look at big like microgrids, when you look at captive power, we see in such context, it's very difficult to get affordable electricity. It's very difficult also to handle logistic of coal, gas, or oil. And last but not least, it can be also very challenging to integrate intermittent power into those grids. Not only in the example I mentioned in India, I will give the example of France. We have many islands overseas. You can pick up any of those islands, and they can be quite big in terms of grid capacity. You will never find more than 20% of solar or wind installed into those grids because it's complicated to handle the intermittency of solar and wind. So at HDF, we will combine renewable energies to mass hydrogen storage to deliver only a stable power to grids. And in those business case, we sell kilowatt hour. We don't sell hydrogen. Hydrogen is just a way to store electricity. So at the end of the day, if we have a bankable PPA, we do have a bankable green hydrogen projects. We are building in French Guiana a project of 200 million euro with commercial banks like SMBC, BNP Paribas. So we can prove that it's possible to do large commercial scale projects today of green hydrogen without subsidies when we target the right context. So we are duplicating such projects worldwide, all over Asia. In Indonesia, we have a good coordination with ASEAN Development Bank and USDFC. And we target to do the same in India. We hired our first employee in India in December, and we are discussing potential partnerships in the country with key companies. And then there is another angle we look at on the short run, is the synergies with the petrochemical and chemical industries. We see worldwide that they have hydrogen byproduct in an amount which is not significant enough to justify, to purify that hydrogen and to sell it to neighbors or other partners. So it happens that they waste it. They flare the hydrogen or they try to recover it internally to make steam and then electricity and heat. So what we propose to those players is instead to do electricity from fuel cell. And that is a way to prepare the long-term application of fuel cells, which could be to do peaking services for the grid. And we have a reference like that in an island in France on a refinery, which is very tiny. We had enough hydrogen to do 1 megawatt. When I look at the scale of India, the players involved in petrochemical and chemical industries, I have no doubt that we can find at least 10 or 15 applications like that. And that is the very first steps. Once those first projects are materialized, we will bring the learning curve of hydrogen to India, and step by step, we could look at other applications. So in a nutshell, this is the experience I wanted to bring. And yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Matthew. Really appreciate your challenges that you are facing and how you are pushing. And we really encourage you, and please continue the fight. I think we'll get there soon. So now moving on. So now I would like to turn to Mr. Arnava Sinha. Is the Vice President of the Greenco Group, heading the sales and commercial function of new energy business. Is responsible commercial strategy, planning, development of green hydrogen, green molecules business. Mr. Sinha is instrumental in putting in place the right systems and processes that will enable Greenco to achieve one of the lowest levelized cost of green hydrogen in the world. How did you do that, Mr. Sinha? Over to you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. First of all, thanks a lot to ISA for having me here. As he already introduced me, my name is Arnav Sinha. I work for the Greenco Group. So I'll come to your question, sir. But before that, let me just breeze through what we do in the Greenco Group as an organization. So the group started in the mid-2000s, 2005-6. And it started as an independent power producer, starting with hydro, then moving on to wind, and finally on to solar. That happened for about 10 years or so, 10, 12 years or so. And in the process, we've built up a total capacity of about 7.5 gigawatts, which makes us probably one of the largest renewable power producers in the country. That, let's say that was the first phase of Greenco's evolutionary journey, call it Greenco 1.0 in our parlance. Now, the second phase started about 3-4 years back, when the group definitively decided to work on solving one of the primary problems in the area of renewable energy, that is intermittency. So we invested quite a bit on the pumped hydro storage project, so that we could get what we call RERTC, around the clock renewable energy. So we started that with our first plant, which is in Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh. This is getting commissioned by end of the year. It has a capacity of 1.6 gigawatt with about 6 to 8 hours of storage. So that gives us a daily 24-hour storage capacity of 10 gigawatt hour. So that's the first of the projects, and then there are 3 other projects that are in the pipeline starting this year. So our plan is that in the next 3 years or so, we will have a total storage capacity of 50 gigawatt hour. So that enables us to go into a complete RERTC category. Over the next 7 years or so, by the end of 2030, we plan to have 100 gigawatt hour of pumped hydro storage RERTC capability. Right? So this phase we would like to call Greenco 2.0, or the second phase of our evolutionary journey. Then the third phase, now we do have the power, we do have the RERTC capability. So now what do we do with the electron? Right? We have an electron for 24 hours. So what do we do with the electron? That's where the idea moved from going from electrons to the molecules. And that's where my business vertical comes in, the green molecules vertical. So what we do is basically look at green hydrogen and its derivatives, primarily green ammonia for now, but of course we'll look at the other derivatives of hydrogen as well. So in why green ammonia, first of all, is because we do believe that green ammonia today is the best vector for hydrogen, as well as has its own uses and applications, as we all know. Right. So we are coming up with quite a massive plan actually over the next 3-4 years. First one is basically we are putting up 100,000 tons per annum capacity green ammonia plant in the hill state of Himachal Pradesh. And the reason why we went to Himachal Pradesh is because of the abundance of hydropower there. So we're going to use that and set up that plant. Some of you might have seen that we have already placed an electrolyzer order of 140 megawatts with John Cockrell, making it the largest single order in the country till date. We hope to follow it up with some more. I'll come to that. But so the first one, of course, is the Himachal Pradesh 140 megawatts. So we do plan to have 100,000 tons per annum capacity. That plant is planned to be commissioned by middle of next year. Right. So the green ammonia part, ammonia licensing and EPC bids are being evaluated, and we'll hopefully award the work sometime next month. Now, moving aside, there's some bigger plans, of course. One of them is a 1 million ton green ammonia production facility in Kakinada, which we plan to have in the next 2 to 3 years' time. And that is primarily for an offshore or export offtake principle. Now, again, you might have heard an announcement that was made yesterday, and we are very proud of it, that Uniper has agreed for an offtake agreement with us for 250 kilotons per annum from the Kakinada plant. Again, making it the first large quantity commercial offtake agreement for an Indian company. Definitely, we're proud of that. We're also partnering with ONGC. We are giving it the final touches to come up with another 1 million ton per annum green ammonia plant, either in the east or the west coast. We'll still, Adhikari sir is here. So we'll work with ONGC on that. Right now, that's Greenco 3.0, let's say, where we are doing that. Now, just to go back a little bit as to how we are making it happen, right? We have the RERTC, which gives us the ability to have 24/7 RE power, and RE power today is almost 70% of the cost of green hydrogen. Coming to your question, right? Why we think we would be able to give the lowest cost of hydrogen? Now, us being able to deliver the lowest power cost enables us to actually go to lowest hydrogen cost. Now, along with the power, of course, the other criteria, the element is the electrolyzer. Now, we chose alkaline electrolyzers with John and partnered with John Cockrell for two reasons. One, our strengths very perfectly align with the strengths of an alkaline electrolyzer. A mature technology has been, evolving over decades now, used pretty much everywhere today. And it's something that our RERTC capability helps blend together and give us the best possible combination of sorts, right? So, but then just the alkaline technology probably is not enough. We also decided that it's a good idea for us to indigenize it as much as possible and start making in India. And that's why we have signed up with a JV with John Cockrell to set up a 2 gigawatt electrolyzer factory in India. So that we're breaking ground in the next couple of months. So that factory is also getting underway. Now, combination of these factors is really the reason behind the confidence that we have that we'll be able to produce the lowest cost hydrogen and the lowest cost green ammonia. I think a part of that confidence is reflected on this order that we have signed with Uniper, the offtake agreement, where we do have that kind of a proof that people are convinced, including the international offtakers are convinced of what we will be able to deliver. So that's, I'll pause now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha. Really appreciate your inputs there. I think it's a lot to get encouraged from what you have done. Yeah, so now let's move on to Mr. Shaji John. He is the Senior Vice President, Middle East and South Asia and Global Head EPC Project Development for Ohmium India Private Limited. So Mr. John, over to you. And this electrolyzers is a very important part of when you talk about hydrogen. So I think if you can also give a little bit of details there in the very limited time of 3-4 minutes to you. So over to you, John. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you to ISA team for this opportunity. As promised, I will not take more than 3-4 minutes because I know the time is running out. So I am Shaji John and I represent Ohmium. Ohmium is a green hydrogen technology company, very specialized in PEM technology. And we are the first and probably only PEM technology manufacturer today in India. And we look forward for many of them to come forward to create this ecosystem in India for Make in India electrolyzers in the days to come. So before entering into the details of the company or the features or how we are contributing to scale up of this green hydrogen technology, I want to share a quick story about what we did on 15th of January when we celebrated the Pongal festival, which is very special festival for South India, and it is in North it is called as Makar Sankranti or other kind of Lodi and many other names. During this Pongal festival, we in our factory in Bangalore has created green hydrogen cooked Pongal. Pongal is a dish which South Indians relish, and we cooked Pongal with green hydrogen. And this was enabled by our own electrolyzer, which produced green hydrogen. We had modified some cooking devices which can burn the hydrogen to cook food. So that's how our team has contributed to showcase that we can create hydrogen and consume it very safely. So this is the first point which I wanted to share. Hydrogen is very dangerous, but if it is produced well, if it is quality is controlled, it can be very safe. So that is one thing which we wanted to share. Second is, of course, this was produced through solar on our rooftop in the factory. So no grid support, straight from solar to green hydrogen and cooking. So which says that the technology has to be very much in sync with the renewable energy. Then only it's a green hydrogen, really clean. So that is the second part I wanted to share. Third is, of course, the footprint of PEM technology is much better than any other technology today. So when the land is so precious in the country, we need to have a technology which can have minimum footprint. So three things: safety, footprint, as well as number three, the compatibility with renewables. And that is a technology probably the country is looking for today. Now coming to the approach which we have taken as Ohmium is creating a product more or less in line with what our CEO calls Henry Ford approach, which means we have a product which is modular, which is plug and play, and which is human scale. That means with this product, it's size of a small car which we are having. So you can use it for scaling up very fast. As you know, like one of my customer friend was telling a few days back, I think we are in a situation where there is a floodgate which is waiting to open to see that there are so much of projects coming out in reality on the ground, and there will be a huge demand which will ask for more and more electrolyzers. So in such situation, to face such a demanding and highly growing industry, we need to have a product which can be scaled up very fast in manufacturing. So many manufacturing plants can be set up very fast. Second is we need to have a product which can be implemented on the ground. That means the project construction time has to be very, very small. And our technology with plug and play and modular and human scale, we believe that we can contribute a lot to this industry. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. John. Really appreciate your inputs. Can we just one more speaker and then sorry, I know that we have already exceeded our time, but we still have one more panelist here, and then Mr. Professor Prakash Ghosh is the senior faculty of IIT Mumbai, the premier academic institution here. So I would like to request him to share. I know he has done a lot of. He's very passionate about it. So over to you for. Okay.
Thank you very much for the introduction. And I'd like to thank also ISA as well as ADB for inviting me. So first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the colleagues around the globe. I prepared for 8 minutes. You know that now I have reduced it to 5 minutes, and as a professor, generally we have a lecture for 1 hour, so it becomes very difficult for me. Okay, please bear with me. So next slide, please. Actually, I'll be having lots of animation as usual, so that's what I wanted to operate myself. So next, to introduce myself, that I'm coming from IIT Bombay, which is mainly important for the global context, where it looks like this. Next slide, please. So this is where I come from. This is one of the youngest department in the country, which was in 2006 in IIT Bombay, and I got my job because the IIT Bombay realized that because my bread and butter for last 23 years is only hydrogen and hydrogen and hydrogen. And I got my job in 2006 in IIT Bombay. So at least IIT Bombay realized that, okay, there is something going to happen in next 15 years. Next one, please. Just I want to take one, because I'll be having lots of quantitative, not qualitative discussion. Yes, please keep on pressing this, please. So I wanted to show that I'll be all talking in Indian context. So if you to go for the demand and supply, please next keep on pressing the button, please. So if we take the demand as well as supply, please press the button, please. Yes, keep on pressing the button. Others, please bring here. I'll do myself. That will go much faster. So because I wanted to save time. Yeah, thank you. So if you see here, ultimately, when we talk about energy supply and demand in Indian context, so there are three particular sector we want to look into. One is that what we talk about the industrial sector. Other one is that cooking, and third one is that we call about transport. And always I say in Indian context, this is the short term, mid term, and long term. Short term will be the Indian sector, which will be in industrial sector in few years, and then next will be coming probably the cooking, and then finally the transport is going to come. So if we talk about this, exactly this sector, how it's going to work. So if we take that in terms of hydrogen, how much we need, and how much electricity we need, how much photovoltaic power we need, and also how much CO2 emission we'll be able to save, and also how much carbon credit we can get. Similarly, if you go for the next one is that cooking. So it is exactly, if we talk about 8 million ton of hydrogen now in industrial sector, it's going to be actually 20 million ton of hydrogen required for cooking. And next one, if we talk about the transport sector, is going to be 23 million ton of hydrogen that is required per year. And if we talk about in terms of the how much capacity of renewable we need, that would shows actually almost 1,310. Just excuse me, these are all my calculation. If I do any mistake, so please just let me know. So this is what I wanted to tell you that, but if you go with the fuel cell vehicle, then it's going to come down from 23 to 9 million ton of hydrogen requirement if we are replacing the entire transport sector based on the 22 data. Now, I'm just keeping this slide because this is very generic. Only I want to tell that now also I'll be replacing the, just keeping this one, it's not required at all here. Okay, so this one is very important when you talk about, because in the hydrogen value chain, if you are talking about, I see something else and it's something else. So there is a lag between the actual laptop and this one. Yes, so I want to discuss here that when you are talking about electrolyzer and fuel cell, these are two important parameters when you are talking about hydrogen economy. So in both the cases, there are three components what we see here. One is that membrane electrode assembly, other one is the design factor, and second one comes bipolar plate and end plates. So these are the main components, and we need to see that where we will be attacking when we are actually going, because we are very late in the global context. So if you go in that point of view, so first thing, if it comes that just I want to talk about the different electrolyzer, because earlier it was discussed about alkaline electrolyzer, other one is PEM electrolyzer, also AM electrolyzer. So they have some pros and cons. So I'm not going in that details. So of course they have some advantage and disadvantage. One of the thing when you are talking about alkaline as well as PEM electrolyzer, we can see that alkaline is having very low power density, whereas we can go for PEM is very high power density. What I wanted to bring in here for other people here is that if you're talking about the electrolyzer challenges in case of PEM, then there are three things as well as also for alkaline. So one is the stack, other one is the balance of plant, balance of system, and power conditioning. And these three things are very much possible for us to take on today itself. So from Indian context, probably we should be actually going for these three, and they are also good amount, 40% of the total cost. And after that, if you go further for the stack, and then we can see that in the stack itself also there are some bipolar plate, which is very much doable for us. So we should be actually able to contribute from 40 plus 30, so 71% of the total cost in electrolyzer and in our country. And then probably rest of the things what we see that MEA and GTL, they are actually involved in case of polymer electrolyte fuel cell. They involve precious metal catalyst, and probably that part we don't need to see and we don't need to look at this point of time. And if you see that exactly in case of platinum also we need to recycle. And if you see the total cost coming from platinum and how it looks like, you'll be seeing that mostly platinum is not available all over globe. It is only in South Africa and few of the other places it is available. So now we see that even if we are working on MEA, ultimately we are going to heavily depend on these particular countries and then for the materials and then only a little bit of know-how. And we don't need to work on that. And actually that know-how is actually required for 20 to 25 years of experience which all the people have. So probably at this point of, similarly for the iridium also just, it looks same. And one thing I wanted to tell you, just this is the last slide. So what I wanted to tell you that we are also doing something in IIT Bombay. This is my passion throughout my life. I'm working from 99, as you know, I did my PhD in Germany and green hydrogen, and I got my degree in 2002. And after that, I kept on pushing this particular thing in my own capacity. And so this is what it looks like. I have developed my own green hydrogen value chain in IIT Bombay. And this is the scooter what I have developed myself, converting an electric scooter. And then this is the scooter I generally ride, and some of my students, they are also riding the same scooter. Yeah, so this is the details of the fuel cell. So we have developed the fuel cell, we have developed the entire value chain, and then also I wanted to share with you. Okay, so probably, and also I ride the scooter, of course, in IIT Bombay, which is not that moving. And the other part is the green hydrogen production side. So I have a 7.5 kilowatt solar panel, and then I have a small electrolyzer of 2.5 kilowatt. I produce hydrogen at 35 bar. Then I have a small compressor which can compress from 35 bar to 150 bar. Then I actually refuel this particular fuel cell, electric vehicle, and then I take it around in IIT Bombay, and that's what even some of my students are doing. That's all. Thank you for your attention, and I would love to hear from you if you have any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So if we go to IIT Mumbai, we'll also get a chance to ride in their bike. Yeah, so I think I look forward to doing that one. Mridula, I think we have already, I think 15-minute exceeded the time. So probably we will not have time for any Q&A and so on, right? So there is one colleague, he wanted to ask a question. If it's okay, if he writes to Mr. John, is that okay? So Mridula, would that be okay? Yeah, so I think we'll give you the email address and probably that Rhino would be nice to have this little bit of Q&A and then have some discussion, but it's always the time is always a challenge there. But at least, we wanted to cover as much as possible. But now I think we really have to close this session. And I would like to thank all our panelists for taking their time off and then joining accepting our invitation and sharing their experience and work and so on. I think what is encouraging is that there is so much happening and there is so much of interest and passion in this topic right now, and which is already a great thing. And I think moving ahead, all of our combined effort would really help move this thing forward. And I would like to also take the opportunity to thank Medulla and also the whole ISA team for helping organize this session as well. And to all the participants who are joining here and plus online, I would really like to thank you for your time and interest in this topic, and let's keep in touch. Thank you so much. Medulla, over to you.
With this, I would like to thank everyone, including our member countries who have joined through ISA live YouTube channels. And on behalf of ISA and ADB, I would like to thank everyone, all participants and panelists for their time and effort. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you. And we close the channel, the session here. Thank you.